What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Koppai Podcast, a Nintendo show, episode 64, coming at you live here on twitch.tv/Koppai Gaming. People will be filtering in and out, but for now, we're going to go ahead and get straight into the rigmarole because this is our pre-recorded podcast. We got to make sure everything's still good for the people listening at home. I am one of your hosts, Kaz Risk, joined alongside Mr. Koppai himself, Zach Risk. Oh, gross. That was actually a pretty... Is that the Woomy sound?
Yep.
Is that what... Oh, man. Yeah, I've seen that more this week than I've ever seen it before. I didn't even know that was a thing, and then everyone was, you know... I was actually going through Twitter trying to find some people to talk to and be like, hey, like, let's talk about Splatoon. Check out Koppai Podcast, kind of self-advertise, self-promote us with people that were talking about Splatoon 2. And everyone was just tweeting, like, hashtag Woomy, and I'm like, what in the world is that? And I got informed very quickly that that's the sound the female inkling makes. That's the best way I heard it described. And so, in case you're new here, we are an all Nintendo podcast that post each and every week on Mondays here on youtube.com/Koppai Gaming, as well as SoundCloud, iTunes, and podcast services around the world. And we're kind of dabbling with live streaming here on twitch.tv/Koppai Gaming. And so you may see us there. We don't know if that's going to be something that we stick with, but for now, we're doing it. Each week, we discuss the games we're playing, the news of the Nintendo pipeline, and then a topic of the show. And today, we'll be discussing the reviews of Splatoon 2 and what critics are saying about the game and how our own impressions of the full game align with what people are saying. And so we're also going to be talking about some news of Pokemon Go and how they had a disastrous Pokemon Go Fest, some Axiom Verge kind of sprinkled in there, super hot, and NPD sales numbers for the month of June, or is it July? I think it's June's numbers are in. And also some other numbers for 2017. So we're going to be digging into the nitty-gritty of that. If you like all of that, be sure to super smash that like, subscribe, share, and bell button to support and stay up to date on anything and everything Koppai, including reviews, Let's Plays, discussions, and more. Coming up this week, we have Splatoon 2 Let's Plays coming up. We have Legend of Zelda Let's Plays coming up. Zach and I are going to try to record some Mario Kart Let's Plays. We actually have a ton of content coming your way, and so it's the best possible time to subscribe and share and be tuning in. And so let me actually... Ooh, crap. I wonder... I accidentally had the live stream pulled up. Hopefully none of that audio came through on the actual recording as like desktop recording with the Skype call. I actually... Oh, gosh, I don't know. Part of me wants to stop and check that. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen back and see. Because if it was playing through the Twitch audio, the playback the whole time, it would be this constant echo.
In MP3 Skype, it would be? Are you like our backup or
I guess it wouldn't be there, so we have that backup, so we're good to go.
But our live stream has an echo? Possibly?
No, it shouldn't anymore. Don't worry about it. Don't even think about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just move on. Just move on. Don't forget it. Zach, how you feel and what you playing?
Oh, I'm doing just diddly.
Oh. your noises and phrases this episode have not been good.
I apologize. I've been playing Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2.
You're a little bit behind on the times.
Yeah.
We're about to get into the Splatoon 2 review, and you just finished the Splatoon 1 campaign. What'd you think of it? How'd you like it?
Oh, I thought it was awesome. It was, because in the entire time I was going through too, like, I heard so much about the debate over whether or not it was worth the price, if it, you know, because everybody says it's such a quick campaign and it's cool and everything, but, you know, so I was just seeing, kind of judging the entire time, like, how much worth is all this, and, it went for the like 100% completionist route, so I got all of the scrolls and everything, which added a lot of.
I was worried that you were kind of rushing through it because.
No, I made sure every level I had to find each of the what are they called, the sunken scrolls? Or?
Yeah. Mystery files, I think, in Europe or something, and I'm not too sure. Like, they have different names in each region, so it's sunken scrolls for us. Mystery files, I think, in Europe, and then in. I'm not too sure what it is in Japan, like their local language.
I felt like, I mean, the game was pretty, I mean, decently length. I mean, if I hadn't been rushing through it, I think that it would have taken me a little bit longer, but I did towards like because first of all, it took me like over a year to finish it because I
You kept getting
started it.
distracted by multiplayer.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, because it's got so much to the game that, especially if you got somebody to play with, like we play all the time, if you
Mm.
go in there and that's kind of mostly what you're going to be doing, and trying to get your rank up and all that, like a lot of what matters is just kind of the multiplayer. And so, when we were kind of into that Splatoon mode, I never really, I mean, maybe I'd go and do a couple levels, but I don't know. Something had kept me from doing it, but I finally wanted to get that knocked out before Splatoon 2 came out,
Mm.
and didn't quite make it, but went in like last night and yesterday and kind of made sure I got through the rest of it. That final boss was really intense and awesome, and
Yeah.
just
And I'll
all of
say,
it was really creative. I mean, a lot of the visuals, I was going into levels like, whoa, this is so cool looking. Like I was getting a little bit of almost a Yoshi's Woolly World or Yoshi's Story kind of thing with the way that and I guess even like Mario Galaxy and
yeah,
some of those.
I think it's very like if Mario Galaxy had the Mario Sunshine aesthetic, you have that and
Yeah, you'd like
this,
go into areas and it's always like there's kind of a room you're in, like it's a big room. It doesn't seem like it goes out forever. There's like panels on the wall, like that have like the universe on it, displaying like
well,
big TV
one of
monitors and
the sunken scrolls explains that because you're going into the tea kettles to get into these levels, you're actually going to these underground domes where the octolings live, and they have, I think, a sunken scroll that explains that
yeah,
octolings reside in these like deeply connected underground domes. And so that's what you're in. You're in these underground things. So yeah, the whole game I guess takes place underground when you're fighting the octolings. But you can
yeah,
see kind of the lights. I think they artificially create the lights on the ceiling, like the sky, and that's why they have the zapfish. Like it's how they power up these little homes they have.
right, yeah,
Is they've
because that's
kidnapped
kind
the
of
zapfish.
the whole mission of the game was
Mhm.
to kind of return the great Zapfish to its rightful place at the
Yeah.
top of the tower. But yeah, I really loved the lore of all these sunken scrolls, reading them after each level, and kind of I thought the cutest one was the cat being cryogenically frozen for 10,000 years.
Well, it's Judd. It's the guy that does
it was perfectly explained how the cat still survived through the
My little
whole
Judd.
apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we can make a quick note on that, like, because Splatoon 2. We'll get into the reviews with our topic of the show and what people are saying about it. But by and large, the Splatoon 2 campaign is very much so an extension of the Splatoon 1 campaign, and so similar mechanics, like very similar structure as far as the levels go. It's not like they reinvented the whole thing. I mean, it's the nature of Splatoon 2. Like a lot of it's just kind of a refined deluxe experience, and so the campaign's the same way. So you kind of have credibility to talk about the Splatoon 1 campaign. I think it's easily applicable to, is that the word, to Splatoon 2. Applicable. There we go.
Yeah,
Or no, I had it the first time. I shouldn't have tried to say it again. But they carry that over, and gosh, where was I going with that? Oh, the sunken scrolls. Like as far as explaining the lore of, at least in Splatoon 1, the lore of the universe, it's actually kind of surprisingly dark though, because like there's one specific sunken scroll in Splatoon 1 where it's like the water levels are rising, there's global warming. I think they say the policymakers aren't taking warnings or taking heed to the changing climate, which is kind of funny because people are nowadays like freaking out about like Trump pulling out of the Paris Agreement, and people are like, oh, you're gonna destroy the world and the climate. And that's what Splatoon 1 is like all about, is they basically say the water levels rose, and that gave rise to the Inkling, and humans are all dead because the Inkling rose up and the water levels rose up, and now we have squids and octopi completely taken over the world. And it's like, it explains why we have no humans and why people are half squids and half kids. And it's like super, like in the midst of this colorful, wacky, happy game where people are running around, wearing beanies and happiness. It's like, you read the lore and it's like, wait a second, there's like literally a sunken scroll that has a skeleton like clinging on to a Wii U. It's like dead, this dead person, and you're just reading the history of them, and it's like, this is, I think there's even a reference to like, I think the Great Turf War is supposed to be like the one they referenced from like hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago. I think that's supposed to be like World War III essentially. Like they're viewing the old wars of mankind as just turf wars. Like, oh yeah, they used to have turf wars back then too. Like I don't,
Yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, that
I
makes
didn't, I
sense.
don't,
That's how
I
they're
don't know if that's
interpreting.
for sure, but I think so. Like they're like,
Because I
you
just
know,
pictured it as like a really long giant turf war, like
I
over like continents.
yeah,
Spray
but
painting.
I
And
think
then,
though, because when you realize it, that they're talking about the human race, thousands of years ago, and they're talking about a great war between like these nations.
yeah,
I think they're talking about a literal war, and they just don't know any better, so they're like, oh look, they had the turf war. And then the world ended because of the rising climate change and water levels rising and everyone drowned. And
yeah,
I think that's the plot line of Splatoon 1, which is, I mean, not many people get that because one, people just either don't play the campaign, they just go straight to multiplayer, or they do play the campaign and they don't get the sunken scrolls, or they do get the sunken scrolls and they don't end up really reading or kind of piecing them all together, the whole picture and the whole story.
and
But yeah, it's awesome.
hey, and maybe that explains the whole Pearl and Marina thing, the Pearl Harbor. They just thought that was a turf war.
Yeah, they were like, man, the Great Turf
It
War
was
of
an
Pearl
epic
Harbor.
turf war, yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, people were kind of trying to piece together, in Splatoon 1, there was Callie and Marie, so calamari, which is a type of squid seafood, and in Splatoon 2, the new characters that host the kind of, what is it, the Inkopolis network or something? It's Pearl and Marina, and people are like, well, what's supposed to be the cute, catchy thing about Pearl and Marina? Turns out Marina is another word, literally, like, not even like, if you kind of dig into the nitty gritty of synonyms and all that, it's, it could be interpreted as a harbor. Marina means like a specifically designed harbor. And so we have Pearl and Harbor, which is just absolutely like baffling that that's in the game. Like, especially when you realize that the whole game is about turf war and what happened at Pearl Harbor. It's like that's kind of shocking. They were able to put
It
that in
is.
there, but
Yeah, I mean, there's always that possibility. I mean, that it's pure coincidence in that because pearls come from the ocean,
in the harbor, yeah,
and then
like,
there's just they have to use all these. They are constantly using ocean-themed names and everything. But
uh-huh.
wow, it's pretty crazy coincidence, and I don't know. It just seems like how is there any other way that you could interpret that? And then how did it get past so many? Eyes and quality assurance, like checking without anybody pointing out, hey, is that kind of strange at all, or is
Yeah.
anybody gonna piece this together? But it seems like nobody really cares or is that interested. So it's not.
I think it's more
the
of like
game
a
is so good that it doesn't even matter. There was
Yeah,
a literal reference to Pearl Harbor.
yeah, go ahead, reference it all you want. But no, so yeah, that's been awesome that you completed that, and I'm excited for you to get into Splatoon 2 and for us to, maybe in a future episode, after we both completed the campaign, revisit the lore of this universe and see, because the big glaring question with Splatoon 2 is, what else can we discover about the lore, because we read up on the history of the old human race, but what about anything they add into Splatoon 2? And also, what's up with the new mini Judd? Like, there's another cat, but
Oh, yeah.
Judd, the original cat, was frozen, or was he frozen or thrown into space or something, or both? I'm
I
not
think
too
that
sure.
he was cryogenically frozen for 10,000 years.
His little cat head, cat head poking out of the little window
Yeah,
there.
you just see the top of his head and his ears.
But the interesting thing to note is that the other cat in Splatoon 2 is an exact like replica of Judd. Like he has the same spots, his same tail. He's just tinier. So I think the theory out there is that he's a clone of the original Judd, because there wouldn't be any other cat for him to mate with to make mini Judd, and so he's like they've cloned Judd.
Wow.
Oh man, they're brilliant, Nintendo. Well done. But yeah, so we'll dig into the lore later at a future episode, and also later in the episode for our topic of the show, we'll discuss the full review discussions that other websites have posted up, as well as what the Metacritic scores are and all of that. But yeah, we've both been playing through Splatoon. You just finished up the campaign, but you have played Splatoon 2's multiplayer quite a bit, and so we'll be able to talk about that later. I've also been playing a lot of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Master Mode, and you can actually watch that whole experience of me playing through Master Mode in a new Let's Play series we're going to have going up called, and I need your help here, and maybe some of the audience can help me out too. Its placeholder name right now is the Tingle Master Challenge, because the whole premise of my Let's Play series is that I'm playing through Master Mode, but I only can wear the Tingle outfit. And until I wear the Tingle outfit that came through the DLC, I have to be naked. And so the whole kind of first 10 episodes is me looking for the Tingle outfit. I'm running around Hyrule Field completely naked, getting completely destroyed by guardians and enemies. Like, I think I got hit in the head once by an arrow and just fell over dead. Like, completely brutal. And now I'm playing through as Tingle. I've found the Tingle outfit, and I'm going through the campaign now. And the question is, should it be called the Tingle Master Challenge, the Legend of Tingle Breath of the Tingle, or the Legend of Tingle Tingle of the Wild? Because personally, I kind of like Tingle of the Wild, but then that's 2 back-to-back Tingles, where it's the Legend of Tingle, Tingle of the Wild. And so, or I could do, I guess, the Legend of Zelda, Tingle of the Wild, or any sort of combination. You got to put Tingle in there somewhere, though.
Yeah.
So
I kind of like the Legend of Tingle, Breath of the Tingle.
Yeah, that's every episode starts off with me saying every single title. I'm like, welcome back to the Legend of Tingle, Breath of the Tingle, Tingle of the Wild, Tingle Master Challenge. Like, I just go through every one because I don't know what I
maybe
ended
that's
up
what
going
it should
with.
be called.
It's just a super long name. But yeah, I'm thinking for the sake of kind of marketing it and promoting it, like maybe kind of hone it in a little bit, bring it home. And so yeah, I do like, yeah, Breath of the Tingle is because that kind of has a little, like, you just imagine little tingle, little breath out there. And so, but no, that's been a ton of fun, and I think we have quite a few episodes of that in the backlog, in the back burner, ready to be edited and published for you guys. And so I'm hoping to get that out either as early as today when you guys are listening to this podcast episode. Go check out youtube.com/Koppai Gaming. But Splatoon 2 is getting priority right now to make sure we have the first Let's Play up of that. And so that'll be up definitely today by the time you're listening to this. So go check out, the first episode is the first campaign mission of the game. And so you guys can go watch that. I also been playing a little bit of Fire Emblem Conquest, wrapping that game up so I can just put my 3DS to bed. I'm definitely getting near the end. I can just tell because of the story and all that. And Azura, who's the character you see on, all the box art, the blue-haired lady. She was in my party, and I just lost her in the game. Like, that's not like a spoiler for the story or anything. That's just you can lose your members on the battlefield, and if they die, they're dead for good. You can't use them to play anymore. And I just lost her, and it was like one of those big decisions of like, do I restart the level so I can have her through the whole game and continue to build up that relationship, or do I just let her die or I think retire is how they go about, certain characters, and I just let her fall back and get completely torn apart by these enemies because we just had to keep going. I'm like, I gotta beat this freaking game, and I'm like like it was the last turn of the level. I'm like, just go, and so that was actually kind of sad. And then I've been playing lots of Fallout 4, Fahaba, the survival mode there, and Destiny 2's beta. So it's been a fun week. Lots of gaming. Tons of gaming. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to get back into more of the Tingle Master Challenge. Like, it's been fun to play through that and be recording the whole thing. And Splatoon 2 is obviously a blast. So, yeah. And you've been playing a little bit of Fire Emblem Heroes, I remember. I put that in the notes here. You kind of started dabbling with that. But other than that, I think you've just been doing Splatoon, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I tried to get into, because with my new job, sometimes I'll have an opportunity to just a low moment where I might have like a split second to do something. So I kind of thought, like, as something to maybe occupy my mind and maybe pass the time a bit, I'd find a strategic sort of really good mobile title to play. And so Fire Emblem Heroes, of course, with Fire Emblem being such a great series, and like Advance Wars seeming really appealing. I've been wanting to kind of get into those games and go through those because I never really have gotten much into them at all. Fire Emblem Heroes was like, I'd been playing a lot of chess on my phone as one idea, and then I was like, this could be really cool to go into Fire Emblem because it's just like, there's just so much more. It's, more vibrant, more interesting. There's a story going on. It's like, but then I don't know what my main issue was, but I was going in and I have everybody kind of a certain couple teams that are about to the level of where I'm at, maybe like a couple levels over. Maybe one person is one level lower than the the level of the stage it is. It's like a
Yeah.
level 10 stage or something like that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, like no matter what I do, I'm overpowered by the other enemy. It doesn't even matter if it's like, my skill wise or anything. I don't think I can take really much route, but possibly I can. I mean, I'll maybe try it
Yeah, no,
again.
no, because that's the bummer part about it. Because I think they do start you off with a set, group of heroes to make sure you start off with a balanced team.
Right.
But it also is kind of, the whole gotcha model of, if you don't summon good heroes, you kind of are screwed, and you need to pay money to summon better heroes or just
Yeah.
wait it out. But I do know, like, one of the helpful strategies I always do is I highlight the danger area, and then if you hold down on each enemy, it highlights their specific area in red. And so the danger area for the entire enemy force is pink, and then specific enemies you can highlight in red. And if you highlight the entire enemy army to show the pink areas, and then highlight everyone but one enemy, you can kind of start to isolate where only one specific person can hit you, and you can make sure your armies moved about in such a way that you're only taking on one enemy at a time, and so you can
Yeah.
kind of taunt them in and pull them in and then just pick them off and start fighting. And so that's usually
Right.
what I do to kind of divide and conquer. But with maps that are maybe smaller or enemies that have larger reach, you can kind of run into problems there. But now I love Fire Emblem Heroes. I think since its launch, I don't think there's been a week that's really gone by that I haven't opened it up and kind of gotten some free orbs and summoned someone. The summer event's going on, and I got Robin from that, and was kind of a cool thing because they're super rare. So
Yeah. Well, it just
I don't
kind of
think-
got me thinking too about just grinding in like RPGs and everything, and about just the strategy of that and how, like, if you can just, it kind of turned me off a bit to the whole grind. Like, I was just kind of dwelling on that idea and how that's kind of a bummer that, there's not. I think that some RPGs maybe should have a cap of a level. Like, you can't level up your characters past this until you beat this part of the game, and then
Well, Pokemon
it's
kind of does that.
Yeah, Pokemon does it great, where the Pokemon will stop listening to you without certain badges.
Mhm.
I don't know how that works very much in like Final Fantasy and like games like that, or like Fire Emblem even. But I mean, the main Fire Emblem games, it seems less like you have less opportunity to just grind up your levels.
Yeah, well, I know with Conquest specifically, because I'm trying to remember, and I haven't played too many Fire Emblems, so I'm not like an expert or anything, and I'm still trying to figure out, like, I didn't figure out until Fates that you can get married and have relationships. So, but I know in Birthright they had lots of, I think they're called paralogs, where you can go and it's like kind of a side story, usually like a farm being attacked, and it's like, hey, help us, we need help over here, and your character can go over there, and it's basically just a bunch of fluff enemies to wipe out, and it allows you to get a little bit of extra experience before you go back to the main campaign. And Conquest has like none of those because it's supposed to be a little bit of a harder, more veteran styled game. And so if you don't level up through the campaign, you need to find other ways. Maybe I think you can actually spend gold and like some of your resources
Right.
on mercenary missions or something like that to go out and level. But no, it's pretty much you got to be good in the campaign. And the other thing with that is you really have to make sure you're balancing out your team and sending out other people. Otherwise, only one person will be strong. And then if anyone ever gets isolated, that's my problem right now. Is I love my character and I love, Leo and Xander or Xander. I forget how to say his name. Like, I love those main characters so much that I just like to use them in battles. And then some of my lesser characters, like my butlers and all that, they just hang on the back lines, and if they ever get caught off guard by a dragon, they're just getting wiped out and killed easily, and then I have
Right.
to restart the whole thing and make sure I'm like, okay, support, you line up with them and all of that. And so, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait, actually. It's been fun. I've been playing, I think I mentioned last episode, I've been taking my 3DS with me as my on-the-go console and leaving my Switch at home
Right.
to force myself to play through it. And I'm excited now. I'm like, wait, I still have all of Echoes to play through, which just came out, and I have Awakening to go back to because I never played through the game the way you're supposed to, where you have relationships and marriage and kids. I only played through with my main character and I guess, what's that character's name? Robin and Crom. And so everyone else I just let die. Like I actually would send people into battle, willingly killing them so they could just get, like cannon fodder, just dying so we could get, stronger. And so I finished probably 90% of the game with only 2 characters and only selecting them. And so there's like a whole basically entire story arcs that I never played with that game, and so I need to go back. I'm going to play through that, and I want to make sure I have all of those done before the new one comes out on Switch. But yeah, so that's a little bit of our weekly Fire Emblem talk. Let's now unclog the Nintendo pipeline. Each week, we dive deep into Nintendo's pipes to find out what's happening in the world of Mario and friends. And this week, we have 6 pipe plug-in news bits that need to be dealt with. We're going to run right through these. I have actually this new system in place where I'm hoping to upload these notes of Koppai Podcast to our website, koppaigaming.com, so you can go read all of our notes there and check things out and see how we structure the show. And so I actually typed out each of these things, and so they actually should go pretty well and kind of flow pretty easily. So unless, Zach, you have something that's like, I really got to say this or I'm going to freak the crap out, I think we're just going to try to plow through these notes and get straight to the topic of the show so we can talk about Splatoon and have a lot of fun with that. So unless there's something where it's like, your thighs are tickling and you're like, I gotta say something. I think we're good to go. So number 1, Miiverse is dead, but the Miis aren't. Shiny Quagsire on Twitter noted on July 17th that, quote, the Miiverse service has ended. Miiverse and any software features that make use of Miiverse are now unavailable. It's not even that they're not even updating it, it's just gone. Adding that this was text that was changed in the latest 5.5.2 update for the Nintendo Wii U, Shiny Quagsire also shouts out Wolfie Styles for credit and for checking that out. It is also important to note that Nintendo has yet to make an official declaration of the death of Miiverse, perhaps hoping to avoid any mixed messaging with the launch of Miitopia, which is coming up this week. And so they don't really want to send out a press release that's like, Miiverse is dead, and then people are like, well, what's Miitopia then? Interesting enough, though, that Miitopia completely runs off of a service completely separate from Miiverse. Like, it's not even tied to that one bit. And Miitomo. So, yeah. Number 2, Pokemon Go Fest did not go well. First reported by Game Informer, many Pokemon Go fans have stated that the game is, quote, or was unplayable at Pokemon Go Fest, the first community event for Pokemon Go fans held in Chicago. Jean Henke, CEO of Niantic, went on stage to kick off the event and also address concerns that players were having. However, he was swiftly booed by the crowd as players shouted, "We can't play," and "Fix your game." John Hank did his best to move past the remarks, instead celebrating how far people had come from around the world, asking for a show of hands for people from different regions. However, this added some salt to the wounds, as many people did in fact travel some fair distances, only to have some server issues. He said, quote, "I know that some of you guys have had trouble getting logged on this morning, and I want to tell you that we're working with cell phone companies, AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, trying to get that worked out, and we're working on the game server to get that worked out. So I want to ask you guys, please know we've got the whole Niantic team working against this, so please be patient." And I actually watched that video. It was incredibly awkward. The poor guy, I mean, they were shouting at him, and you could hear, like, in the way I'm reading his quote there, he is like, we're working with our team, we're doing, guys, please, just no. And like, while he was saying, I think when he said we're working with the cell phone companies, I think you heard people like start laughing. They're like, oh, come on. Like, Verizon's picking up their phone and being like, oh, Pokemon Go, you need help? Yeah. They don't care. However, some people weren't able to even get into the event. One player said in a tweet, "This is what's happening, and your app isn't working for most of us," with a picture of an extremely long line going around several blocks of the Chicago streets. Andrew Rager also said in a tweet, quote, "You have 75% of paying customers outside still," and, quote, "What were you thinking?" End quote. Many other tweets proclaimed poor planning, typical Pokemon Go app, and so poorly managed. So it was a freaking disaster. In happier news, the Sylph Road said in a tweet, quote, "Due to degraded experience on overtaxed cell networks, Niantic will be offering full refunds to Go Fest ticket holders and $100 in Pokecoins for each attendee." Also, Kotaku reports that Fest attendees all get legendary Pokemon Lugia, or Lugia. How do you? I haven't said Lugia in so long. That's
I always Lugia.
Yeah, I always said Lugia too. But it's one of those things that you've read it for 2 decades, and then it's like, oh crap, I have to say it out loud.
I think they said it in the Pokemon movie 2000 or whatever. I
Oh
kind of
yeah.
forget how it went, but I'm pretty sure it was Lugia, or maybe it was like Lugia. I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, they all get Lugia in their accounts tonight, and players worldwide should start seeing Lugia. Actually, by the time you're listening to this, I've seen posts of people finding Lugia at different raid battles.
Huh.
Also, Team Mystic won Niantic's Mystery Challenge, and thus Articuno will be the second legendary bird Pokemon to appear. Well, second with Lugia being a legendary bird Pokemon. Although it's more of like a fish creature kind of too. Like lives underwater. Apparently,
much-
wait, what?
I was gonna say, how much? Do you know how much it costs to get into the festival or whatever? How much these paying customers had to pay for their Lugia?
I'm not sure.
It just
but-
seems like, wow. I don't know.
To get refunded, everyone?
Paying for a legendary Pokemon.
Oh no!
Like-
Well, I mean, it was more, I think, than just getting into the festival, like to get
Right.
the Pokemon. It was like booths and meet and greets and hanging out with people
Yeah,
and kind
it's
of
a pretty cool experience to
Yeah.
to know that, and it's kind of a souvenir of your experience there.
yeah.
I'm just thinking I just was kind of thinking it's an interesting way to distribute these legendary Pokemon, like through these. I haven't tried much of Pokemon Go recently. You kind of were getting a little bit back into it while you've
Yeah.
been walking Ollie around and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Um,
have a gym right next door that frequently is a raid location. And so, for example, like if you want to go out and look for Lugia or Articuno, every once in a while, a Pokemon gym will have an egg on top of it. And when the countdown reaches 0, the egg will open up and reveal a Pokemon. Usually something kind of rare, like a Charizard, for example, like a fully leveled up Charizard. So you kind of want to go catch that,
Right.
and not have to really worry about leveling up your Charmander, which takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But other times, apparently now, it can be super rare and be like a Lugia or whatever. And in order to defeat it, you go up, you tap on the gym, and then it's kind of like a gym battle where you pick 6 Pokemon, and then you fight against Lugia, and you tap Lugia and do your little battles and all of that. And usually, though, the raid boss Pokemon is really, really hard and has lots of health. And so, like, when I went up against, who was it that I went up against? It was like it wasn't Cyndaquil, but it was Cyndaquil's, like, level up or something. I forget the name. And I
Like
caught that.
Typhlosion or something.
Yeah, Typhlosion or something like that. I think that's the third one. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of what's in the middle. It's like lava something, maybe. I'm not too sure.
Lava Quill.
Lava. No.
Is that not what it is?
Lavamon.
I thought it was Lava Quill.
Lava Pikachu. but no, I had to go through all Quilava. You actually were close. I actually had to go through all 6 of my Pokemon though to take it out, and I bet with a Pokemon like Lugia, you probably have to have like a team of people, and you all can sync in, kind of have a matchmaking server sort of thing where you can all attack at the same time, and that's how you take it down. And then if you do take it down, depending on how fast you take it down, and if you get bonus points for holding onto that gym, you get Premier Balls, and you use those Premier Balls to then try to catch the Pokemon. So, for example, I took down Quilava with just my team, so I got bonus points for being like a solo fighter, and I had like 3 extra Premier Balls because of that.
Oh,
and
that's
so you get bonus chances, but just because you take down a raid boss doesn't mean you're guaranteed to catch that Pokemon. So you need to make sure you do it with efficiency and with a team or at a gym that you own. So maybe take over the gym before you try to do the raid. Anything you can do to get extra Premier Balls, and then even then you want to make sure you're ready to aim and use. I don't know if you can use some of the raspberries and all of that to help catch it, but yeah, so it's kind of a fun thing though, because I'm assuming, I mean, it doesn't really happen at the park nearby, but I'm assuming you see a Lugia, like you can see it across the map. Like if there's a raid Pokemon, it tells you, like for the entire Twin Cities of Minneapolis, like I know every raid battle, within probably 100 miles or something, like it shows you, or maybe 50 miles, and so you can kind of know like, oh whoa, like across the city there's a raid battle going on with Lugia. Let's go, and everyone has like an hour to go gather there, so you can probably imagine some kind of like the good old days of Pokemon Go, where people gather in one park and try to do this one thing together. I can imagine it being pretty cool, but yeah, it's also one of those things that's just like Pokemon Go. Like this event's the perfect representation of Pokemon Go, where it's like kind of sucks sometimes. Like
Yeah.
you can't connect and weird glitches and the Pokemon not working right or popping
Well,
up weird or
I gotta give them some like leeway just because every time they kind of do a first, it seems like a very much a first of this kind. Like they haven't done, like they're unleashing a really big, massive update. I think that actually some of the things that I've seen about like the badges that you can earn now and all that seem really appealing. One of
yeah.
my big problems, I guess, is that it's been just ungodly hot in the middle of summer here where I
Yeah.
live, and going out like during the day, like when Pokemon Go originally came out, I don't know, it seemed more bearable. Like this summer's been a little hotter or something like that.
Maybe
But
global warming. The splat levels are rising.
well, it's like been super humid here and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also been an issue, but like I just haven't been able to go out as much. And then I was also kind of excited about like my new job is I know for sure there's some Pokestops out there, because it's kind of like a big place, popular attraction, and so but for some reason like the way that the walls are so like set up, for some reason even when my location's turned on it won't get through and recognize where I'm at. And so I was gonna try to get back into it that way by like just at work being able to flip the fill up my Pokeballs and everything, because that's also been a huge issue, is that I don't really live near any of the Pokestops to where I can fill up unless we go like driving somewhere and happen to stop by somewhere like that's a business that has one. So yeah, it's kind of tricky, but I do think that once they do another one of these, I have the feeling that it's just going to get more and more refined each time to where,
Yeah, it's true.
this, like, that's what the experience has been for me with Pokemon Go, is that, I mean, when we were first trying the game out, it was so, like, shady and sketchy and would
well, I remember because I'm in the
time.
Twin Cities, so I go like to the Mall of America, and that was the most frustrating thing because like there was I remember like a Lapras was there once, and like it was super rare at the time, or like a Snorlax, and it was like no way there's a Snorlax here, and you would go and try to find it and like click on it, and it would just not even do anything because it's the Mall of a freaking America. Like there's no way you can load anything there. So I can only imagine like a Pokemon Go Fest where everyone's gathered specifically with their app open, like hoping to catch Pokemon. Like there's no way like that one hotspot's gonna be able to like withstand all those cell phone towers trying to get into the same app. But at the same time, I don't know. Like it's one of those things that they've especially now the game's been out for a year. They should maybe know like, oh wait, we're gonna have how many? I don't even know how many attendees there were. It looked like hundreds, if not thousands, because it's Chicago. Like we're gonna have hundreds, or if not thousands, of people all in this park with the Pokemon Go app open. Do we have anything in place to make sure the servers don't crash? Like because if the answer is no, they should have been like, well, we need to make sure we limit attendance to 100 people or something, or 500 people, and make sure that we do a test with I mean, they're the Pokemon company. They can find 500 beta testers to just test out, one location or something. Or maybe, I mean, I don't know. Just using this, then if this was their test, it just seems maybe like
Think about the
ahead.
eShop crash.
Yeah, the eShop
With
crash of
Splatoon.
2017.
I mean, that's what we were thinking that whole time too. Is like how do they not prepare? How do they not know about something like this? Like the amount of traffic. It's Nintendo, like such a big company. By now, they like where's preloading for one? That's just what I want to kind of throw out there. They need to get preloading on the system ASAP, because that's a really good thing. Like with Super Smash on Wii U, we had preloading, and that was pretty hassle free to get that going. Seems like I would assume inevitably they're going to get the preloading on the Switch, but
They have it already, kind of with like the Splatfest, the demo.
Yeah.
You could download it, right then, and then you just couldn't open up the actual app, like, or you
probably
could and only go into Inkopolis or something. And like ARMS, they also had for the test punch, they had basically
Right.
preloading, and then they said you couldn't load it up. So like
Yeah,
they've
but
had it before.
they're interesting where it seems like they're just making these really like different unique builds of the game and then just putting it out. It's like a demo, where it's just a slice of the game, and so it's because it is like the file size was way smaller because they didn't have all the stuff that's in the
Yeah.
game. But I just think that there's probably something to like DDoSing, and if a server gets overrun with certain amount of connections, it's like I don't know if there's certain circumstances where you can't really do anything. Like that's just the capabilities of technology, and it's just when something major happens and a whole bunch of people are flooding a certain area, it's inevitable that a crash can happen.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
I mean,
like
in the
you don't always
popular
have to-
documentary film movie The Social Network,
Yeah.
you have Harvard's network crashes because Mark Zuckerberg starts Facebook, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh crap!" Like they're freaking out, and it's Harvard. It just happens. But yeah, so no, I think did I read all this that they're gonna get their refund. They're gonna have Lugia, and the Articuno's on its way. So be on the lookout for that if you want to play Pokemon Go. And I do recommend, like, if you haven't played since last summer, go back in there and just at least, I mean,
check it
it
out.
doesn't really hurt to download it unless you're like really limited on space on your phone or something. But you still have your account. You don't need to buy anything. It's not like you have to subscribe to it again. And I personally love they have the streaks now where if you go to a Pokestop or catch a Pokemon each day, you get like bonus items. And it's just kind of addicting in that way. And so, yeah. Number 3, Super Hot is being considered for Nintendo Switch. In a Reddit discussion, the team behind Super Hot VR was asked whether or not we could see the action indie on Nintendo Switch. Unfortunately, the team said in response that it is being considered, but we've had some issues on PlayStation VR with performance, so on Switch, it'll be ultra hard on that matter. And so I was kind of left wondering, does this mean that it would be hard to have the virtual reality version on Switch or the base game? Because it would seem odd for them to be considering a VR port and trying to port that whole engine over. But maybe they're also just trying to say that it was hard to make the game work in VR, so it'd be hard to make it work on like any other platform. But I just can't imagine that the base game wouldn't work on Switch because it doesn't. It's like the characters in the game are literally like polygons. Like they're not too intensive. So I don't know really what that meant, like, because it just seemed weird that he would say it would be ultra hard for the VR thing to go over there, but I don't know why they'd even be considering a VR,
Well,
experience.
wasn't there a developer that said like, oh, never mind, it was about the buttons. They were like, there's not enough buttons to put on the Switch, and then they had to put out like an apology, and they're like, oh, never mind, same amount of buttons, bro. It was something like that.
Yeah.
So it was like, you're good. But it just seems like maybe some developers initially kind of think with Nintendo they might automatically associate less powerful or not capable. Like, oh, you want to ask us to put it on the Nintendo console? Well, we had trouble on PS4, so it's going to be ultra hard. You can kind of automatically assume that if you have difficulty on one platform, it might, the one that's traditionally less powerful, or some of the specs are less powerful, it might be more difficult. I didn't even really realize that Super Hot has just like a base game that's not VR. It just seems so like,
oh yeah, no,
like, that
it's awesome.
Supposed to play it in VR, but yeah, I got it for my PlayStation VR, and I need to play it. It just came out like same day as Splatoon, so I've kind of been occupied with that. But it just seemed like it's supposed to be one of the definitive PSVR experience.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
That's been out.
Danny
So
O'Dwyer was
it just
freaking out about it.
Yeah, so that's just kind of why I associate that. Why would you want to play it any other way than in the VR? But that's
it was designed first and foremost as just a normal game, and then VR was added. So
yeah, I see.
But yeah. So we could get that. Number 5, Splatoon 2 already has a new weapon and a new Splatfest coming. Nintendo of Europe said in a tweet that, quote, the next Splatfest in Splatoon 2 takes place during the first weekend in August. And the question is, what's your condiment of choice, mayo or ketchup? It was also confirmed later to be the Splatfest for the US as well. Interestingly, according to a poll by Artsy Omni, the infamous artist who made the Rayman fake leak for Super Smash Bros., in his poll, ketchup wins in popularity against mayo out of 1,118 votes, with a score of 54% to 46%. However, this is if ketchup is tied to Pearl and mayo is tied to Marina. However, in a, quote, simpler poll, which is better, ketchup dominated over over 1,000 votes with 72 to 28%, clearly saying that ketchup will win based on his audience, but also that Marina has a significant influence on voters and perhaps helped out with ice cream's lead. And so I thought that was interesting that people, because when they announce the Splatfest, Pearl and Marina have their banter, and each one usually picks something. So like Pearl was all about cake and Marina was all about ice cream, and this time Pearl is all about ketchup and Marina is all about mayo, and people are like, crap, I want to support Marina because people prefer Marina, but they're like, ketchup is better. Personally, I'm going mayo. I'm gonna wear that mayo shirt. I'm gonna be repping Team Marina.
The only reason that you are choosing mayo is because you platinumed that.
My name is Mayo. That game was so good. Got my platinum for $1. I still have a second platinum out of it that I haven't done yet. I can get a second platinum if I want. But no, my whole thing, and we can talk about it maybe like if we live stream the Splatfest or something, or next week or whatever when we get the actual results, or 2 weeks from now, right? Yeah, 2 weeks. We can talk about the whole ketchup versus mayo thing then. But my whole thing is, it's the simple question. If I'm having like a burger, let's just say a burger, and you have one option, ketchup or mayo, I'm putting mayo on there. And honestly, if someone were to say for the rest of your life, you can only have one or the other, I can have mustard on a hot dog, I can have, ranch or something with my chicken nugs or whatever, or barbecue sauce, but I need mayo on my burger, I need mayo on my lunch meat sandwiches, I need mayo in my life. It's just something, I usually put sriracha mayo on my corn dogs, like it's just, I need mayonnaise, and I could do without ketchup. Like ketchup, I honestly, I don't know, I wouldn't miss it.
Really good because that kind of throws out like the fries argument, because I prefer ranch with my fries anyway.
Yeah.
Ranch with my pizza, like.
Well, you would do ketchup with your pizza. Yeah,
well,
mayo with your pizza.
Eggs. Like people put ketchup on their eggs.
Yeah, and they're messed up heathens.
And, macaroni and cheese and ketchup.
They're playing Triforce Heroes over there. Oh man.
I think that it was Uncle Tim who likes eggs and ketchup.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember watching Bruce Almighty, and he does it in that movie, and I'm like,
it's just
what?
gross.
Yeah.
I still, it's one of my it's like seared into my brain from childhood at daycare. I remember one lunch, it's just kind of this foggy, hazy memory of them giving me this little bowl of eggs, and then they just plopped a whole bunch of ketchup on top of it, and I was just like horrified. It's stuck with me forever. It's still in my brain. Because, yeah, I was just like, I can't eat this.
Yeah, but Team Koppai.
I starved, pretty much, I think. Oh.
Oh my gosh. I think Team Koppai is Team Mayo, but we'll see what you decide on the battlefield. Or I guess they call it the Splatlefield. Also, Nintendo UK said in a tweet that yesterday that the ink brush arrives in Splatoon 2 tomorrow morning as a free update, which means it's up by the time you listen to this. I think I already saw it in Sheldon. Sheldon has it, yeah, so... and last for the Nintendo pipeline, the final clog. NPD sale results are up for June 2017, and they reveal Nintendo's success. Neurolac on NeoGAF has shared the overall results for NPD sales for June, as well as the larger windows of time. And so here they are. For software sales in June 2017, leading out the top 20 is Tekken 7 and Injustice 2. So interesting fighting games were at the lead, followed by Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which was pretty shocking because it was only on the market for 2 days and in June, and it's an exclusive game that is a reboot or a remake or a reimagining of a very old series. Number 4, 5, and 6 are all Nintendo games, with ARMS at 256,000 physical sold games, and then plus digital. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with 145,000 physically plus digitally. Keep in mind that the chart is by revenue and that the rankings exclude digital, so presumably Mario Kart 8 at 180K was on sale somewhere or had a major digital sale, because Mario Kart 8 was 180 physically plus digitally. And then 8 was Overwatch, 9 was NBA 2K17, 10 was Horizon, then there's Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, MLB 2017, Rainbow Six Siege, Infinite Warfare, Battlefield 1, Minecraft, still the top 20 selling games of June. There's still Minecraft in there. Who's out there?
Well, I mean,
buying, I guess on Switch and all
yes,
that. But
it's just come out. They keep releasing it on every platform there is, and so it's like, eventually it's gonna. I mean, like, I recently bought it and kind of gave it its, like, this is where it's gonna be. That's where I'm gonna get Realms for my Switch version.
Yeah.
And I had bought it on PS4, and so I can see a lot of people have probably bought it at least twice, and then some of those people are first buying it on the Switch and stuff, and then I mean, especially if Nintendo games are selling, really they're in the top 5 and everything, so the Switch is doing well, and all those new Switch owners are probably like one of the first games you'd want to pick up is Minecraft if you're into it, like to have Minecraft on the go, and like the perfect kind of, a lot of people have raved about the Switch version being the best version of Minecraft there is.
Yeah, well, yeah, taking it on the go, but having the buttons and then being able to dock it.
Yeah.
Number 18 is Morrowind, or the Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind, which is awesome to see that's successful. And then FIFA 17 and Forza Horizon 3, most likely because of the Hot Wheels expansion, which I got Forza Horizon 3, and it's probably my favorite racer of all time. Lots that Mario Kart could learn from that.
I wonder if our pre-orders of Morrowind were counted on the... I wonder. It probably didn't, I guess, but I was just wondering because, like, I pre-ordered Morrowind.
To get your bonus.
Yeah, it's still waiting.
No, it wouldn't count. It wouldn't count. Yeah. And then for the best sellers for all of 2017 so far, we have Wildlands at number 1, which is baffling. I did not think that game was, doing as hot as it seems to be doing sales-wise. And number 2 is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Then we have For Honor, Grand Theft Auto 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, Injustice 2, Andromeda, Resident Evil 7, NBA 2K17, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And
I'm honestly surprised that For Honor is so high up there.
I think that's been a consistent shock. Some other notes that MPD has is that Crash Bandicoot, yada yada yada. So Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy had a strong debut, reaching number 4 on the month's top seller chart, despite having only 2 days in the market. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is the first Crash Bandicoot franchise debut game to debut in the top 5 since Crash Bandicoot Warped in 1998. And so they're probably pretty happy, and they're maybe wondering if they should bring back Crash. Meanwhile, the other exclusive was ARMS for the Switch. What's especially impressive here is that it sold that well without including digital sales. So Nintendo separately confirmed that its Wacky Fighter surpassed 256,000 copies sold physically and digitally in June. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Zelda Breath of the Wild sold what we already talked about. And then, so ARMS, the top 10 games, or... For the Switch, the top 10 games for June was obviously ARMS, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Breath of the Wild, Ultra Street Fighter 2, 1-2 Switch, Disgaea 5, Cars 3 was number 7. They did it. They robbed people blind. Cave Story Plus, Lego City Undercover, and Just Dance 2017. And also, it's interesting in the top 10 games for... They classify it as 3DS and Vita on the NPD sales charts. There's not one Vita game. And I'm also glad to see that Super Mario Maker is still its top 5 for 3DS in the month of June. So I'm really glad that game's still getting success. And also the last thing with sales numbers before we get into the Splatoon talk is My Nintendo News reports that while Super Mario Run trumped Fire Emblem Heroes in terms of downloads, Heroes has earned a sizable amount of money over both iOS and Google Play. Deconstructor of Fun has compiled the statistics about Nintendo's mobile turn-based strategy game, and it's made $61.5 million from iOS and an additional $53.4 million on Google Play. Considering the fact that it's a free-to-play game, that's crazy. Interestingly, Heroes was downloaded far more in Japan and North America than in Europe, and downloads in Canada alone surpassed that of Europe. So the game is a juggernaut of money for Nintendo right now. It's made way more money than Super Mario Run.
Have you spent anything on it?
No.
And I haven't either. We're huge Nintendo fans, and like we'd be the type, like we bought Super Mario Run and had no problem paying the $10 price. Thought it was well worth it. Would pay $10 for Fire Emblem Heroes to just get the full experience, like, everything kind of unlocked, so that there's no stamina or anything like that to restrict me. So like I just haven't, like, it's been satisfying enough when I have wanted to play that I've been able to kind of just enjoy it like that. Although I haven't been like as into it as you have, but then.
I've gotten almost every hero I've wanted, like from the special events. It's just if you plan out your orbs well enough,
right,
and save them up so you get the discounts through summoning, and just if you're smart about it, you can go without paying any money. And they've also added more stamina now, so you don't need to I rarely run out of stamina, and I'm not really doing long binges of the game where I need to be spending money on like bonus. Anything. And also it's one of those things that, like Rocket League and Overwatch, I've spent money on, I think, as far as like, I've spent money on getting the loot boxes or getting some of the bonus cosmetics. Or Destiny, I've spent actually quite a bit of money on bonus cosmetics and, kind of the gambling sort of thing there. Like several times throughout my few years with Destiny, there's been moments where I'm like, I'll put $5 down on a loot box or something and see what I get, like a new ship or something, because they're usually like, with Overwatch, for example, you get about 4 items for just $1, and it's kind of an event. You're like, ooh, what's going to be inside the loot box? But with Fire Emblem Heroes, from what I recall, it's like $5 for 5 orbs or something, and that's one hero that you don't even know what the hero is going to be, and they're usually pretty crap. Like, it's just, if they made it so you were like guaranteed like a 5-star gold hero for $1, like I probably would have spent like $50 on this game. Like, I would have contributed so much. But there's someone in some sort of marketing meeting and someone behind the scenes has done the math and figured out that they will make more money if they make it so it's this expensive. And there's just, I think they've talked about it, like people have come on podcasts and talked about it before, where there's companies like this, or developers or studios like this thrive on that, like the few minority of people that are just like the whales that just are, this is the game they play on their phone. They spend their like a budget of their paycheck, probably like $50 a paycheck or something, on getting orbs. That's their game, that's their experience, and they just do it, and that's that. So, but yeah. Crazy. I'm glad though, because I love the game and I'm not spending money on it, so I'm glad that they're going to keep supporting it, because they are definitely adding in like new levels and heroes, because they're like, keep it going, keep it running.
Definitely, that's great news. Yeah, to make over 100 million on it, seems like it'll be getting support probably for years to come, I would assume.
Probably
awesome.
Very little development costs. And so now, a little bit late. Hopefully, are you okay? Can you keep going?
Yeah. I'm totally good. Yeah.
Topic of the show: Splatoon 2 review discussion. Currently, Splatoon 2 is averaging an 84 on Metacritic, so we're going to dive into what reviewers are saying, quick little synopsises of their reviews. You can dive into their website to get the full review and give them that view and their click for their website. But we're going to go through it, and then kind of throughout reading what people are saying about the game, we'll kind of give our initial reactions to maybe if we think that's a credible review, or if we think we disagree, and all sorts of things like that. So let's go. First and foremost, the average is 84, and pulling the average up is Nintendo Life, giving the game a perfect score, a 100 or a 10 out of 10, or however they review things over there. And their little summary is: Splatoon 2 is just about everything you could ask for from a sequel. It builds on everything the original set up and then some. Almost every single major issue people had with the first game has been resolved, showing that Nintendo is genuinely listening and wants to deliver the absolute best experience possible. It maintains the freshness you'd expect and throws in countless big and small changes and additions, every one of them for the better. Anyone who says Nintendo can't do online should be eating their words right now. Splatoon 2 is simply incredible and continues Nintendo's trailblazing first year of Switch stunners. Personally, end quote. Personally, I think the whole quote, anyone that thinks Nintendo can't do online should be eating their words, is a little excessive. Maybe if
I can see that.
If you are playing only Nintendo games, yes, Nintendo has outdone themselves as far as online features and stuff. But if you play literally any other AAA online-only game or online-focused game, man, it does lack some features. I mean, it's not the reason you're going to Splatoon, but the fact that I have to do this, rapidly click your name when you join a match in order to get matchmaked with you, and even then it's not a guarantee, and I could get kicked out of the lobby because there's no many slots and we can't voice chat within the game. We have to use an app, but even the app sometimes doesn't work with other things. And I mean, it's just I'm not eating my words one bit as far as saying Nintendo can't do online, but I do agree that they knocked it out of the park as far as the sequel goes. But
I think they can do online. It's just they can't do it amazingly well. They're not trailblazing in online. Like the game itself is amazing and incredible. It does do. That's kind of like when I was thinking about what would I give their online app as a review rating, and I think I'd give it a 3 out of 5 stars because the basic functionality is there. Like the purpose that it's supposed to serve is that you're supposed to be able to get your friends in, join a room, and voice chat with them, and it does that. But in terms of going above and beyond that and providing the additional features that it would require, I'd say it's either a 2.5 to 3 stars because of just how it gets by with the bare minimum amount. And I think that's kind of what you could say with Splatoon's online. I think that it's basically the same story where it's the minimum, like we can get into a match together, but it's not like even the fact that we can't spectate while we're waiting to, they have a whole new spectator mode, but they can't allow when I'm waiting to join you to at least spectate your match so that I'm not just looking at a little tag of a.
How do you use the spectator mode? I don't even know how to do that now.
I think that it's for when you have
LAN parties.
Yeah, LAN parties and things like that. If you have people join. I mean, I think you can also do it. It doesn't have to be a LAN party if you do the using the Switch app and have people join that way.
Like a private match?
Where, it's a private match. Then you can have up to 8 people join, and it's just you guys playing together. And then, But.
All right. Well, yeah. A little excessive there, Nintendo Life at a score of 100. Let's see what Nintendo World Report and some other people have to say. Nintendo World Report and Destructoid both gave it an 85. Nintendo World Report says this might just be a half step forward for Splatoon 2, but the first step was so good that it's not really a bad thing. Which I would agree that it's building upon Splatoon 1, which is amazing, and so for this to be like a half step forward is still an awesome game. With Destructoid adding, with more concessions for higher level play and a deeper meta, veterans will be jumping ship from Wii U to Switch in an instant. And you're a testament to that. You're getting out the Wii U version ASAP.
Yeah, for that very reason. The Wii U, it's just so sluggish now compared to the Switch. The Switch is so quick. Right now, currently, my Splatoon 2 is paused, it's suspended in sleep mode, so that when I want to go back in there, I can just hop instantly back in, and I believe skip the whole cutscene of them telling me what the Switch the stages are and all that, because supposedly that's one of the things they fixed about people still complain when you hop into the game every single time they have to do their whole news announcement. But now, thankfully, when the hour changes and the new rotation comes in, they don't break in and give you the whole spiel again. If you have it suspended and you're still in there when the stages switch, they'll just switch and you can and so that's really nice.
I was very surprised when that happened. I'm like, whoa, yeah, cool.
And to have that option to just have it suspended, I believe it just works so much better than the Wii U's version of that. I
Yeah.
believe that you could leave things like suspended, but then I don't know, it just was not it was just not as good. But
Yeah.
I'm so glad to have. That's one of the big things about, and I'm thankful for Nintendo to give us Splatoon this early in the Switch's life cycle, like to continue. Like I think it was Nintendo Life said this stellar, like trailblazing first year of Switch Stunners. Like it's just been incredible for a launch year for Nintendo. Like you never see something like this,
Yeah.
where they're giving the fans, you can tell they're giving people things to play that they want to play, and they kind of are asking for ASAP. And it's just really nice to get that, because like with Mario Kart and this, and all we're missing is Smash really before the games that are sort of their long staple replay over and over for years and years to come games are on the Switch and ready to just go with you anywhere, and all that. So it's really exciting, and hopefully I'm just holding out for Smash. Once it's like
Smash.
once we have Mario, Splatoon, Kart, Smash, and like Animal Crossing, and then Pokemon, I mean the Switch is without a doubt going
You mentioned Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing, I need that sooner rather than later, just so I can start building up my village. Like games like that, I'm going to be investing so much time into over a long period of time, like just snippets daily.
But with
That's
that
why I need
game,
that.
with that game too, I still say also, like, I respect when they take a little bit longer on that, because it just tells me they're adding even more content into it. Because after, from each game, it seems they add even more, and each game already has so much that it's like unbelievable that they have to somehow come up with like, what else are we going to add? How are we going to expand all of this stuff, with new things and what new features. And so with Animal Crossing, I can see where, that could take, there's super text heavy. They want to make it so that it's not repetitive when you're talking to all these different villagers, and all that sort of thing. So that game, I can see the longer they take, it's sort of almost like a Breath of the Wild thing, where they're totally different games and genres and everything. But the longer they took with Breath of the Wild, there was always that feeling of they're going to do this right, and they're going to make it, like, the only reason they're delaying it is to make sure it's even better. So like, what do you want to get? A later Zelda game that's absolutely perfect, or a more rushed one? And it seems like the answer is obvious, that we got the definitive Zelda game by being patient and waiting for it. So I think that's kind of the same scenario. But
yeah, I wonder if they're, with Animal Crossing, if they're going to take any, like advice or, tips or just inspiration from, Stardew Valley and things like that. These kind of games that are taking off on, these indie games, and like, even like what is it, Farmville? Like if they're going to try to maybe incorporate some of that into the Switch. But
well, it's interesting that Farmville, I think, had its time come and go almost before New Leaf and everything, because
that's true.
And then I'm really interested. I wish we'd hear more about Stardew Valley and when that's coming to Switch, because we kind of heard initially, it was almost like before the Switch even had its big, it was just, I don't know, one of the first games that they said this is coming to Switch, and then it's kind of gone silent for a while, and it seems like why? I mean, it doesn't seem like it should take too long. It might be just Nintendo's own, like, we'll put you on the list and let you know when your time comes that you get to announce that your game's coming out.
I always thought it was slated for fall.
Yeah.
That's from what I heard.
Yeah,
all right, back to Splatoon 2.
Like yeah.
Game Informer gave it an 83 and said, with a great competitive multiplayer suite, a fun take on the wave-based survival formula, and an imaginative single-player mode, Splatoon 2 is an excellent evolution, which is a perfect little synopsis, because I'm hating, and I've seen this trend online, I'm hating this constant focus of Splatoon 2 on just the multiplayer or just the online features, because there is, like, Salmon Run is awesome. Like, whoa, is that a cool thing I didn't know I needed in my life, but now I love that it's in my life. And the single player mode is, we just talked about it at the start of the show, single player in Splatoon is always awesome, and I don't see many reviews reflecting that. Like, it's always like, how does the online things match up? How do the maps match up? And I get, like, that, it is a multiplayer centric game, but thank you, Game Informer, for for tackling that in your synopsis. Although I don't know if Metacritic compiles these summaries, and I'm positive that probably other reviewers do get to that. But it's just like I'm glad that that's mentioned. IGN gave it a tentative score of 83. They're waiting to hear how the servers go, but I believe it was Brandon Graber said, it feels as if the paint had just begun to dry on Splatoon after its release on the Wii U in 2015 when Nintendo applied a fresh coat and relaunched it with Splatoon 2 on Switch. All these the symbolism of paint. That may be why this sequel feels like a whole new game that rather than a new version of the first one that rolls up the best post-launch updates to the colorful and adorably non-violent team-based shooter and adds some new toys. Of course, considering the first game is a lot of fun, that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you missed it for a lack of a Wii U. And despite some questionable choices that can leave you trapped in matchmaking purgatory, which we mentioned, the addition of a standout and clever take on co-op horde mode provides some seriously addicting fun that has me coming back for more. Great little... That's perfect, I think. That's exactly what we're saying. Like, the matchmaking can be a little questionable sometimes.
Well, and I'll have to play more of the single-player campaign to know how much it improves upon the first and everything, but to say... I feel there's maybe a little bit too much kind of implying that this is just a deluxe Splatoon port, and I feel like it's more than that, but possibly I'll have to play more of the campaign, see if it's longer, like what kind of thought they put into it, what kind of things are going on with that, how developed is it, how how does it all feel. But so far it all feels not like it's not a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's not just
that's literally the same game.
There's not just some new toys. It's I feel it's a whole new game. There's several new modes. There's
the superpowers change things drastically.
There's new multiplayer modes. There are new. There's a whole new the whole salmon run, the horde mode, and then a brand new campaign to go through. That if judging anything by the first, if there is a campaign that's similar or even slightly longer, then it is a completely different game. Because that first campaign is definitely incredible, worth like replaying again. The replayability is awesome. So
you're gonna love. I'll say this for my little teaser for anyone that's like in your boat or you finish the Splatoon 1 campaign and you're talking about the things you're talking about. You're gonna love the Splatoon 2 campaign. I'm not that far into it, but there's some features right off the bat that really just are perfect. Like it's like man, you did it again, and so you'll see those. And Let's Play series starting today.
Doubts. It's like I really suspected, and that's kind of we've talked about the past couple episodes, that Splatoon 2, we kind of had that faith that it's actually going to be a real legit sequel, and that's kind of what we felt the purpose of that served. I mean, it really it went a long way in proving that this is not just a port of Splatoon to the Switch from the Wii U. It's a different game, and this is why, and here's a whole bunch of the reasons. And that's my only kind of... I feel like that was from IGN. Pretty much they got the essence, but I just feel like maybe they didn't give it enough credit for how much it actually does improve upon and build on the Wii U version. But
yeah, definitely. Rounding out some of the lower scores here, sitting now at 80, kind of pulling the average down. Polygon and GameSpot have the reviews. Polygon saying, it's baffling that Splatoon 2's best feature is held back by a frustrating lack of proper online support, and in many ways it's the same game with some new tricks, which, as we've said, we disagree with. But there are still enough imaginative additions for anyone who played the first game to death, especially via its strange, captivating supporting cast. It may be much more of the same, but the same is still pretty fresh, which, we've already addressed that we don't... I mean, it is a lot of the same, but that's not giving it enough credit to say that it's just, freshening things up. It's not Splatoon Deluxe, it is Splatoon 2.
I do think that, I mean, there is something... I mean, maybe that was a little bit better worded than the previous one, because and it's kind of the new tricks and new toys. I think there's a way to say it, because it is in many ways the same game. It's almost like
it's a sequel. Destiny 2 is Destiny 1 still
exactly. That's what I was about to say. Is that it's like New Super Mario Bros. Wii versus New Super Mario Bros. Wii U. It's like the same game. It's like once you get into it, you kind of know like this is how Mario works, but it is a completely different game. It's not the same game. It's more of the same. Technically, in certain aspects, on a certain perspective, it's more Mario, but
Yeah.
it is a completely, there's new levels,
Well,
things
in Mario
designed,
Kart 8 compared to Mario Kart
like,
7 is like, I
so I
mean,
think it's a little unfair to say, you have to kind of clarify what you mean by that, because it's like saying, it's a Kirby game, it's more of the same. It's a
yeah.
Mario game, it's more of the same. You can't really say
Empire
Mario
Strikes Back, it's
Odyssey,
more Star Wars.
right? When Mario
It's
Odyssey
still Luke
comes out, you
Skywalker.
can't give it an 80 just because it's like, well, it's a lot like Mario 64, and so if you played that, it's kind of more of the same. I think it's a
Yeah.
little
That's
unfair.
that's what's bothering me in some of these reviews. It's like in some of the earlier, like, I think Nintendo Life maybe a little bit excessively, but they said, it's it builds on everything from the original setup and then some. Like they acknowledge that it's building on the original in a good way, and then you have these reviews which seem to say it's almost a bad thing. Like it's more of the same, but so that's kind of pulling it down, where other reviewers are saying it's more of the same and that's pulling it up. And so, yeah. And then GameSpot says, at first glance, Splatoon 2 seems very similar to the first game, but all the small changes, and even the bigger ones in single-player and league battles, make for a fresh take on the already unique shooter. If you played a lot of the original, the sequel has enough to keep you coming back, and if you're new to the game, it's a fantastic place to jump in. And I would say that it's kind of interesting. You have two different audiences coming at Splatoon 2. Those that never owned a Wii U and this is their first Splatoon, and those that were there for the Wii U era and played through all of it. And they're coming in kind of wondering, what's going to keep them, keep them pulling in. But if you especially, I mean, it goes without saying, this game is a 10 out of 10 if you never played Splatoon 1. Like, I mean, if you've never experienced it, just to experience it gives it this bump of, like, it adds to the points almost, because, like, to experience Splatoon for the first time, like, I'll never forget kind of pulling it up and being like, wait a second, this game is freaking awesome. Like, no way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's just so weird, because you and I were hating on it, I think, in the original E3 showing of, like, what? Like, why isn't this, like, Mario or something? Or why is this kind of their big focus of E3? And what's the whole,
The character designs
the characters are
strange.
weird. Yeah, like, how is this supposed to be like a shooter? Like, we just were not really on board with it. And then, yeah, playing it, and we knew that was probably going to be the case. Like, we kind of predicted that. Like, maybe you just have to play it. And it's definitely true that you need to play this game. And yeah, if you're the fortunate enough soul to, I mean, I feel sorry for you that you missed out on Splatoon 1, but at the same time, I envy anyone that picks up Splatoon for the Switch, and it's just like that's their first experience, because that'd be, there's no way you would leave not completely captivated. So, yeah, and I would say this, I mean, to kind of close out the review discussion, specifically aimed at Splatoon 2, definitely check out the campaign. Daily, we're going to be having the campaign here on youtube.com/Koppai Gaming. And so you can watch through the entirety of the campaign, mission by mission, as we go through that, presumably for the next month, depending on how long the campaign is. And then maybe after that, or maybe even throughout that, I would like to also sit down and maybe you and I just go through and just do Salmon Run and, like, record it in chunks of, like, 10 minutes or something, and have those also as daily Let's Plays, because that never gets old and would always be fun. We could have our banter back and forth. And so we'll have the Splatoon 2 Let's Plays going up. But I will definitely say, you'll see in the Let's Plays if you choose to watch those. But if you don't want to be spoiled and you want to experience them for yourself, definitely go check out the campaign. Even if you weren't a campaign person in Splatoon 1, it's just such a fun way to learn new weapons and to learn kind of new strategies too, just the way that it kind of positions you in different worlds and environments and all that. And
It definitely
yeah,
gives
it's
you a whole bunch of targets to constantly go through and practice on.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just a
lot of moving targets, and so that you really get, like, I noticed, for example, yesterday I spent, I don't know how many hours, I went through and completely went from, like, I don't know, level 10 to level 27 and 30, the final boss, like, in just yesterday. And so I was playing Splatoon all day, doing basically constant target practice, that when the night rolled around and we finally went into Splatoon 2 to kind of try to get ranked up to 10 and everything, so we could finally get into ranked battles.
Yeah.
It was just like I was leading each time. I was, like, just on fire because I just spent like so much time in the campaign. Like, it really did translate in terms of making me better at,
Definitely.
like, it was really awesome, and it made it more fun because I was just like, I felt in the groove of everything. So, and it was a fun like experience. It wasn't even like I was just going in with some bland target practice. It was captivating. I was actively
The
looking for,
story's good, and the sunken
yeah.
scrolls that we talked about, like, and there's, I mean, yeah, there's more to collect in Splatoon 2, and also another thing I want to say, as we kind of wrap up our review discussion, and even encourage you, like, I think you already kind of know this from what we've said, but if you normally also only do the normal, regular battles, ranked battles, turf wars, all of that, I also definitely encourage you to go over and do Salmon Run, because Salmon Run is a feature in the game. Like, if you were to ask me what I would want in Splatoon 1, I would never think of a horde mode. But wow, they pulled it off so well. And the matchmaking for that is actually really good, where you can have it so it's like you and me, and we just fill in the rest of the gaps with random people, if we choose to. And like, it actually kind of waits for a moment. Like, do you want to add in more friends? Are you guys good to go? Are you ready? Like, the matchmaking actually with that's way better than normal multiplayer. And yeah, so that's awesome, and I'd like to play that more with you. But overall, though, I think it goes without saying, we definitely recommend Splatoon 2 if you have a Switch. Like, you would be stupid to have a Switch and not get Splatoon 2. Like, it's
Definitely.
it's one of those games you need on your Switch.
And what I hear a lot of people raving too is that it's the best, like, it's currently on the Switch, the best party game. Like, if you have friends over and you have Switches, like, for a LAN party or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it is by far the best, like, get together and play with your friends. Be a lot of laughs and good times, and I can only imagine, like, and I've come around, because initially I was a little bit skeptical about how entertaining I would be by, I don't even know, blah, 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 but entertained by spectating like the esports of Splatoon.
Yeah.
And how much that would like appeal to me. At first I was kind of like finding it a little bit difficult to watch. Maybe it was the presentation, but then I watched a few matches of some people just kind of playing locally with just a few people, and I was really captivated by it and thought it's actually really entertaining to watch. And I can just only imagine, like, if you have a whole bunch of friends over and they all have Switches and you have Splatoon, it would just be an absolute blast. And yeah, and one of the things I also wanted to say about it was, I just think that Splatoon is the best game on the Switch right now that's both a super casual, really laid back, relaxing experience, and also one of the most intense and competitive and engaging experiences that's on the Switch. It's like the best of both worlds. You can go in, you don't have to like hold up your team if you don't want to. You can just go in and do a little bit of work, or go in to help and be support a little bit. And
you can play turf war, because I think in Splatoon 2 specifically, they've made it. I'm not too sure though. I may be wrong on this. I think they've designed each map though specifically where you can no longer go all the way to the enemy lines. Like, you can't. They've like blocked off the areas around the start. You know what I'm saying? Like, each map kind of has 3 different sections. Your intro section, the middle battleground, and then the other enemy section. And I don't know. I know you can get really close on some of the maps, but I think some of them, like, they are specifically designed where you're blocked off from getting right up on the spawn point. And so you can usually be pretty safe, where if you just hang back towards the start, you can contribute to your team by just making sure every nook and cranny of your home area is covered, and you'll rack up points for your team. And then you also, because of that, charge up your super and can shoot your super out like at a distance if you have like the Tenta missiles or something, and maybe splat a few people, cover some area out there, and then just keep staying in your area, so you don't really need to go out and face up against people. And I mean, yeah, it's therapeutic almost, just be splatting areas and just covering it all. And yeah, it's an awesome game. We could rant and rave about it forever, and we probably will. You'll probably hear about it throughout the rest of the year, especially if they keep having Splatfests and add
updates.
new weapons and updates and maps. I can't wait for them to start adding like new maps. Like, that'll be fun. But yeah, I think that's all we have for Splatoon 2 and the rest of the Nintendo pipeline and topic of the show, and Koppai Podcast episode 64. So if you liked all that, be sure to click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the follow button, anything and everything, wherever you're watching it. Be sure to just support us if you did enjoy the show. And if you didn't enjoy it, let us know how we can improve, how we can refine the show. We're definitely open to hear how you guys think we can be better. But we'll have a new episode next week. I believe with the reviews of Hey Pikmin and Miitopia, those will be in, so we can talk about those and anything else that pops up in the news. And also be on the lookout today. I don't know the exact time it's posting. It could be up by the time you're watching this, but be on the lookout for our first Splatoon 2 Let's Play. And also be on the lookout for the Legend of Zelda Let's Play series. I'll be tweeting out on Koppai Gaming when those will be expected to launch, and so you can follow that. I do know, guarantee though, Splatoon 2 will be up today, and I just don't know when I want to start Zelda. Zelda at the latest will be next Monday, if not today. And so yeah.
Sweet.
But until next time, go.